Are you seeking to intro us again? I'm excited.
Oh, I am? Oh, yeah.
I was asking. You don't have to. I don't want to put that on you.
That's totally fine.
I can do it.
Criken, you do it. Yeah, go.
What if we each do one word?
I knew you were going to say that. All right, you go ahead.
Am I that predictable?
It's a thing that I've been a part of in many an improv group. So
you can tell I'm classically trained, can't you?
So yeah, go ahead. You want to start with the first word?
Welcome
to
the
internet
podcast
number
2
plus
30. We're doing math.
2 plus 30. Criken, go ahead.
7.
Oh,
Minus.
need another plus from you, Bruce.
Plus.
There it is. 7, 9.
I said plus.
3. I think that's got it.
Full stop.
Christ, I got a headache
Exclamation
already.
mark.
Exclamation point. We did it. That was it. We got it.
Hey, I'm gonna give us all a round of applause because no one just went banana.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, we actually tried to stay on topic.
I did consistently throw you guys under the bus, though, which is exactly what I wanted.
What is improv if you're not mortgaging everyone else's comedic value for a cheap punchline?
That's what it is.
Yeah, I see you're also classically trained.
I know.
I genuinely, I don't think I ever feel more anxious than in improv scenarios because, like, I want to both make everyone else as funny as possible, but I'm also terrified that somebody's going to, like, lob up a ball and then I just don't spike it at all because I'm also paranoid about stepping on somebody else's joke all the time. How do you find that confidence in social situations to just do whatever feels right in the moment? Every time I do that, somebody looks at me like I should leave.
I mean, I think you just try over and over and over. And, like, if you fail, you fail. And then you go to, well, it didn't work that time, but maybe it'll work the next time. I think that's kind of the way it goes.
Yeah, I don't know if there's even much, like, thought to it. I think it's just, like, once you have, like, a rapport with someone, you kind of have, like, a chemistry and, like, a rhythm. And then, even if you, like, miss, it's not like that just falls flat. You can kind of play off that, too, and then it's, like, a rebound.
Yep.
I don't know. When I joke about the classically trained improv, I've never actually done like improv where you like go on and you're like, someone give me a thing. Like I just think that's like very funny. There's few ones that I've seen that feel like really good as like a format. In general, it just feels kind of antiquated. So I like Twitch because it doesn't. There's not that much pressure when you improvise.
I think I agree with that. Yeah, it's and then like the bad moments go pretty easily. The audience, there's like a bit of a shield there, so you can't feel their revulsion. Sometimes you can.
Well, they type cringe. They'll type cringe. Yeah.
Wait, it was Monkus, right? That was the classic.
Monkus.
No, wait. No, there was another one.
Monka S is like fear. Oh yeah, it was haha. Yeah, that's the
one that got banned.
Criken, you said Monka S is fear? I've seen Monka S as lots of other things besides fear.
Like what?
I mean, I've seen it as like revulsion or
trepidation,
like sadness, or like Monka S is generally bad.
No,
that's what I've seen.
Oh right, are we gonna have to break down all like the better Twitch TV emotes and like I gotta
Oh no. Yeah, I'm just saying. As
my own mother. This is a rare Criken fact. My own mother, she watches my Twitch streams, but of course she doesn't have better Twitch TV. So she'll ask me. She asked me one time, "What is Monkas?" And like, what is feels bad, man?
What is Pog? Like,
yeah. What does Pog mean? And I'm like, oh boy, how do I explain this? So, if you need a rundown on like the emotional state of each of these little frogs, all right, I'm an expert at that.
I mean, I don't know that I want that, but like somebody just said Monka S is worried. That's closer to what you said, trepidation.
Yeah.
But yeah, because fear, I've never seen it used for fear. I've seen, and like obviously Monka, but I've seen Monka S for other ways too. Not necessarily. Well, I guess kind of a cringe. That could be a cringe phase.
If you're playing a horror game and there's a scary sound,
yes, that's
people
perfect.
type Monka S.
But
yeah,
but
that's
what
fear.
But what about the other 1 million combinations of what you're doing on stream when they type Monka S?
It's trepidation. It's concern. It's like paranoia, even.
Yeah.
It's not cringe. I don't think that's it.
I don't know. I'm just telling you what's happened.
So what's your favorite emote? Criken, I want to hear your favorite emote right now. It doesn't have to be of all time. No pressure, but
wide right people happy. Or
happy.
people run. All
people
the peoples are the best.
People run. Yeah, the peoples are the best, yeah. They are.
I think this has been explained to me before, but I've forgotten. Is Pipo Pepe's son or younger brother? Or a friend?
Or a friend. I think it's intentionally ambiguous because there's no actual lore. But I like to think Pipo is just the little baby cousin. Pet the Pipo is the best one.
You see him once a year at Thanksgiving, but he's still a chill dude, and you guys kind of catch up on stuff, and he's just now getting into Sonic. I feel like that's where Pipo's at. He's always just getting into Sonic the Hedgehog, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Like, you're a little weird, but you got a good heart. Bruce, what's your favorite emote?
It might be Party Parrot.
Oh,
I love because Party Parrot is usually used for when things are really happy and having fun, and like everybody's having fun and we're all dancing. And I do love Party Parrot because Party Parrot is also funny. So when I see Party Parrot, a lot of fun. Yeah, when I see Party Parrot, I know I'm having a good time. That's how I know everything's good.
For audio listeners, I realize this might be confusing, but there are a series of emotes on Twitch TV, specifically if you use the better Twitch TV extension, which most people do, that are regular watchers, that allow you to have little animated GIF emotes. And we're talking about our favorite ones of that bunch.
That's right.
I also like Rat Slide. That's my equivalent of the Party Parrot.
What's Rat Slide?
It's just a bunch of rats running in a row, and you can chain them together, and it's just like a tidal wave of rats.
I love it. Oh, I love it. I want to see Rat Slide in the better TTV.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for chat to do Rat Slide.
I don't think you have it.
I don't think we have it activated.
Yeah.
Neither one of us.
Mine. Oh, wow. I have it on mine. If you want to, you can show. You can.
Oh, I don't watch Criken streams.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Out of principle. Understand. Me either, actually. I just happen to be there when they're going on. I'm busy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, you guys, it's been an awfully eventful 2 weeks since we last talked to the internet. Yeah, I don't know. You guys want to lead with anything? I think probably in our sphere, a lot's been going on, I guess. But for me, it's just the absolute fury over purchasing extremely expensive electronics, paired with the absolute fury of Microsoft purchasing extremely expensive development studios. There's just a lot of purchasing going on lately. A lot of money getting
big money handed around.
I was told that all the money was gone. I was too. But apparently not. Apparently everyone's doing great. Or rather, the way I try to wrap my head around it is that there are people who would be spending money on going outside and living their lives, but now that money's just sitting in the bank because they can't. So why not invest in subverting your mind into a video game wonderland, which I've been saying for years. So I'm glad the rest of the world's getting on point. Oop, that's a butt. Oh dear, that was fast. Thanks, Reddit. Sorry for the audio listeners. There's a big old booty crack.
I missed it. Damn.
Oh, here, I'll scroll up.
No, you don't need to scroll up. It's all right. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
That's fine.
It's for me, it is weird, Lawrence, because I was feeling the same way. I was like, I've heard that the economy's in shambles and the global economies, we're all going to shit and everybody's exploding. And then nobody can get their hands on these things because everybody's already purchased hundreds or thousands of dollars in goods. So I was like, well, wait a minute. So do we all have money, I guess? I guess we all have money now, which is interesting. Or the other explanation is there are a bunch of bots that are buying everything and then reselling them on eBay. Do you think that's what people are doing?
I guess it depends how many video cards are listed on eBay. Sorry, Criken, go ahead.
Yeah, these sites, at least Newegg, I feel like I saw say that they were very careful to make sure that there were no bots when it was being purchased, but that they experienced a higher traffic than even Black Friday. when the release came out. So, that's why they sold out immediately, which I believe. I mean, I think it really is a matter of like a really huge leap in the generational graphic cards, coupled with people being inside all the time and not having less to spend their money on, or at least, more willingness to escape, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. It was strange to me because I assumed that the pre-orders for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X would be crazy. Yes. Oh my gosh, chat. All right, hold on. I'm going to address chat because Boone is now saying it. Yeah. And yes, I know. I'm using a different microphone over here because we're restreaming. There's lots of things going on in the behind the scenes that I promise are all on purpose. I don't just accidentally press a button on things and be like, whoops.
And let me chip in another point on top of that. If you're listening to this after the fact on YouTube or an audio feed, Bruce will sound great because his local recording is with his normal mic. But yes, audio devices are a fun thing to mess with for sure.
I know. Anyways, so I was expecting those pre-orders to be really big for PlayStation 5, and when it was just like when the sites were going down and people were flipping their shit and stuff, I was like, this is weird. I just didn't expect it to be so huge. But I guess it is new consoles. It's every 7 years, right? That's a big deal. Is that what I'm missing?
It feels weird because like when the PS4 and Xbox One came out, I just leisurely went to Amazon and dropped a pre-order. Like that was it. And I remember the Wii was hard to get at launch, but like every other console, if you're part of the if you're part of the gamers, you usually know you drop your pre-order at GameStop, you do something early to secure something, but those were all immediately gone. So either there's way more people playing games, bots are buying everything, there's less supply, or I guess there's just way more people. Like that's all I can figure. Quarantine and all.
It could also be that these companies expected less units to be sold because of quarantine and the recession we're in. So they might have just not prepared as many. But I don't know that
or COVID.
Stocking. Yeah. I mean, stocking your units always feels weird to me. I feel like there's always this intentional dry period where it's in high demand. And sells faster,
Yeah, I mean, I assumed that the COVID, obviously the pandemic would hurt stock. So maybe that's what this is too. It's just a bunch of things all put together into one thing where it seems weird for us to complain about the fact that we can't spend our money on something, but it's stacking on all the other terrible shit that's happened in 2020. So, like all the other real life horrible stuff that's been happening to everybody in 2020, if they want to escape with something like a new console or a video card or whatever else, and they can't even do that, then it really starts to I know me personally, I'll speak to my own personal feelings about 2020 in general, which is normally I get to go to a movie or I get to go out to dinner occasionally, and I find that those are my ways that I relax usually. And I wasn't able to do that for a very long time, and haven't up until just recently, and even then it's not really fully open. And it's most certainly taken a toll on my mental health, which is crazy to me because I'm just like I didn't realize I used all that stuff. I didn't realize I was like, oh yeah, I go see a movie just to relax, and then when you take that sort of stuff away, it feels like you don't have a normal life. And so I think a lot of people are experiencing that with these sorts of pre-orders, which is why there was such an uproar.
It would make me feel better to run around in Demon Souls. I'm not gonna lie, for a little bit. I feel like for at least an hour or two, that would give me sweet release, and that is being deprived of me by people on the internet. You're right though, Bruce. It like I can't push myself to be upset about anything. It's more just sort of like kind of confused. I'm just kind of. It almost feels like the doorbuster Walmart atmosphere has now crossed over into the internet at large.
Yeah,
which is kind of wild. It's like just people getting really intense, getting really combative, coming up with I don't want to say conspiracy theories because for all I know they're true, They're coming up with all these narratives about why they can't get the good that they want. Yeah, I don't. Is there a digital version of trampling somebody to buy a $400 TV? I don't know. Maybe bots. Maybe that's it.
Bots. Yeah, it's bots.
Yeah.
God, Criken, maybe. Okay, here's a thought. As things go forward, so too can we absorb that knowledge and apply it to the past. I propose Criken, you order food, right? You steal that robot. You take it. We reprogram it to bust into Walmart and snatch some TVs. That way, we have our own army of little Terminator buying bots that are rolling over old women with their unfeeling metallic treads, purchasing us all the TVs that we can then resell in the parking lot.
Okay.
You're going back in time, selling TVs in a parking lot. I like that.
Yeah, but everyone else is moving on to the internet, so we just got to go where the action is.
Oh, you're saying because the shops are diseased, we have to use the robots to get in and get the goods? Or are you saying the robots are just unfeeling enough that they could kill a human and get away with it?
I'm saying the robots could trample people far more effectively than their fellow man could. So we get an army of robots busting in there. We get all the TVs. And since everyone else
it'll pay for itself.
Yeah, everyone else is running bots on the internet buying up video cards. We're the ones scalping TVs in the parking lot.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. If you can find me someone that knows how to reprogram a little tiny delivery bot into stealing a TV, I'm down. Also, I don't think they have arms, so we're gonna have to figure that out at some point. But aside from those two caveats, I'm in.
Do they have robot? They don't have robot arms that could reach out and
Nope.
shovel a PS5 into their
nope.
Into their
they got
hole?
a bucket. No. They got a bucket head. You unlock it. You open the bucket head. You get your stuff out. That's how the delivery bot works. So it's unlikely that unless it had its bucket head open and it ran into a wall fast enough to knock something off the top of the wall into the bucket head and then sped away. That's probably the only situation this thing's going to steal anything.
We should clarify and tell the audience we're talking about, because I don't know that every city right now has these, because I didn't even know they existed in LA until you told me about them.
Yeah, there's a few places in LA that I think have been experimenting, or Postmates have been experimenting with little robot delivery boys that roll around and give you your food, which is kind of nutty to me because LA is mostly just streets with cars, and so I just don't know why these robots aren't taken out left and right by cars that are like, the fuck is that? And just fucking rear end it. But yeah, I've seen it a couple times now, and there have been more than a couple times now that Postmate delivery people have just stolen my food. So on one hand, having a robot that is incapable of stealing your food is kind of a nice thing. But on the other hand, it's never really good at its job. It's always late, and whenever I do get my food, I have to lift open this little bucket head, and my coffee is spilled, and it's because it's rambling around the street, and it doesn't know how to be careful. So
it's the Mars rover is what it is, but it's driving through LA.
It actually looks just like the Mars rover. So that I think they made it look like something kind of recognizable and cute, so that you're like, oh, it's okay, you fucked up my order. You're just a little robot. What can you do? But I've seen a car will pull past it and it stops and it was and it just it's I was watching it heading towards me, and then a car drives past it and it freezes and its lights start blinking and it's and then it's go, and it just keeps going again. So it's kind of funny to watch, but not really good at their jobs.
That's how, I always will point at every single robot that exists right now in actual human life. That's why AI will never take over, is because what you're seeing is those tiny little robots that they can't even keep your coffee up. They're not going to be taking over the world anytime soon because they can barely deliver their food without getting hit by a car.
Yeah.
Well, one could say that about a delivery human as well.
Yeah, but they're probably not going to spill their coffee because they don't want to spill their coffee in their car.
That's a good point.
So,
yeah, I have yet to get a spilled drink from a delivery driver. Mostly just drinks that aren't there at all. Mystery ghost drinks. So I guess, Criken, that begs the question, are you a drink half spilled or a drink not at all kind of person?
I'm a drink half spilled. I prefer drink.
So it sounds like you're on the side of robots. I mean, I don't mean to make such a simple conclusion.
If it's not getting my food or getting my food with a shitty robot, I'll pick the robot. The thing is, when it arrives, like you can tell how long in the day it's been in service because the inside of it is just coated with drink, and you're like,
Wait, they don't clean them out?
Yeah, what?
Well, but okay. Well, the customer doesn't. Like, I order my food and it arrives, and I'm not gonna like spend 10 minutes cleaning out this shitty robot. Like, I take my stuff and I'm like, you're someone else's problem now, and it like closes and just like rattles off to do the next order. So, sometimes I guess they don't clean it out. I don't know whose job that is.
Jeez.
Wow.
It ought to be somebody's. There's this, I don't know, there's like this notion that all like, I hate to call it this, but like all basic jobs are going to be replaced by robots. Somebody's got to scrub those robots down.
Yeah, no.
But I imagine most of the time they won't. Like, a company's going to replace a human with a robot and assume that that's it. That's one cost to get to write off for good, instead of inheriting all the cost that comes with shitty robots that can't. To be fair, LA sidewalks are largely very fucked up between earthquakes and like tree roots busting everything up. So
I've seen
some sidewalks.
LA was picked as a city for this.
I mean, I guess it's a good test case because if robots can deliver food here without spilling coffee everywhere, they can pretty much do it anywhere else, I would think.
Yeah.
Maybe San Francisco, those hills, but
well, there's also robot maintenance too. Like, people have to take care of those robots. Like, they can't. Those robots don't maintain themselves like humans do.
I'm sure that many of them have been mugged. It's just a sad thought, but they don't really have a way of defending themselves.
It's free food, man.
Yeah, you just knock it over, and if you can pry open the lid, that's a free lunch.
Yeah, but it's spilled coffee all over the food. Oh man, you can't do that.
It's tiramisu. It's fine.
Speaking of which, whatever happened to like those birds? Like, I mean, the whole electronic scooter thing. I mean, no, not the drones. The
actual scooters, the bird scooters.
I mean, obviously with COVID, I feel like they kind of went away. But were they doing well before then?
I had heard that they were like, at first it was like, oh my gosh, what a great thing! Like, they'll be here forever. And then eventually people stopped taking them, and obviously COVID really put the nail in the coffin. But I think it was a money losing venture before that.
I hated them always. So
I actually used them. I used them quite a bit.
It's like Bird and Lyft and stuff, or sorry, and Ride and Lime and all that. Is that
Lime and all that other shit? Yeah,
that's great when you've been out drinking, man. I guess you're not technically supposed to do that, but
of course not. I almost got fucking beamed by one of those. It was one of those like sit down ones, like the borderline motorbike ones.
They have sit down ones.
Yeah, I think that was what the Ride ones were. They were like actually sit down like mopeds, and I was like crossing the street. It was the walk sign. The cars were stopped around me, and this one just assumes that it's not a car and not a person, and just fucking like guns it through the. They were going faster than the cars were, and they just gunned it through the walk thing, and I had to jump out of the way. It almost like completely took me out. So after that, I became enemy number one to those things.
That's fair. The only interesting thing I saw was it's when we were in Austin on a work trip. And to save money, I don't know why I felt like I needed to save Rooster Teeth money, but I was getting around via scooter, and I had to like go to 2 subsequent scooters because somebody had went around with like a Sharpie marker and scribbled through the activation QR codes on them all. It was like getting into block war territory with the various startup electric scooter companies. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, this is the most cyberpunk thing, that there's some asshole going around.
Oh, you think it was like someone from one of the other companies that were like, this is the easiest way for us to win the market is to remove the competition?
Yeah, basically. They rendered a lot of those scooters inoperable by just making it so you couldn't boop the code to unlock it. I was like, damn, that's smart, but also a pain in the ass because now I have to walk like a few extra blocks.
Yeah, I don't know. I used them quite a bit when traffic was really, really bad here before COVID. But I don't know if they're going to come back as much. Like, they were everywhere for a little bit, but I don't know if they're going to come back as much.
I thought it was a pretty nice alternative to taking a ride share.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
It's just, it's the same problem of like a grocery store parking lot is people have no decorum about where they leave their carts. So those things would just be cluttered up, like on the sidewalk, in the road. I don't know. Yeah, Palmer has a good point. Wouldn't it be easier to buy your own scooter? Then you got to keep it. You got to maintain it. And then you have that huge upfront cost versus dropping like $5 on a scoot. So
I mean, the scooter rides for me were like $1.75. It was like nothing. And yeah, and then they had also said that like, oh yeah, you could just buy your own scooter, whatever else. It wasn't that good of a deal either. So and then
you had to like find a place to store it and like
you had to charge
worry about it.
Yeah, it's but again, I don't know that this works for every single city. I think it works for a city like Los Angeles or New York or whatever else that you could then do it in those large cities. But I don't know about a smaller city. I think in a smaller city it might not make as much sense.
This is a bit of a departure, but also this throws back a bit. But Palmer and Chad had an interesting point that like with the and this is going to a subject we've largely moved away from, so I apologize, but I promise it'll be an interesting question by the time I'm done with this excessively long wind up. Given that everybody's going furious about buying all these products and stuff like that, I certainly remember anything I wanted that was remotely that expensive was exclusively a Christmas gift. I as a child, a dumb idiot kid with no income, could not just buy a PlayStation 5 whenever I wanted. And the dynamic was a bit different, I guess before 2020 as well. So I expect there will, kind of like Palmer had said, there will probably be tons of very disappointed kids this holiday, unless maybe they get like a PS4 now that that's less expensive or something. But yeah, it seems like it's going to be even harder to get.
You really think they're not going to be able to restock anything?
I hope so.
Before then, I would assume that within the next couple of months they're going to solve a lot of the unit issues. But
you think so? Oh man, I don't know.
Well, that is possible, and I certainly hope for that. But I just wonder for you guys, do you remember how did you react as a kid? Did you ever want like a really sought after toy and didn't get it? And how did that make you feel? And how did you process that as a kid?
My parents are pretty good about finding a way to get like the thing if it was like clear that was going to be the gift for that year. But in general, I don't think I ever really like expected a big gift. It was like a surprise if I got it, but I wasn't like, heartbroken if I didn't. The only exception was like my Nintendo 64, which apparently my parents had ordered off eBay and had arrived as a brick in a box. And they were like, oh,
what?
And they had to like rush order a different one from somewhere else to get it because someone like cheated them. So,
wow, that's horrible.
So wait, how old were you when that happened?
I didn't open the brick, thank God.
Oh, okay.
No, they checked ahead of time because they wrapped the gift.
Smart.
But yeah, they when that was like I think I was like 6 on Christmas. There's like a video of it somewhere where I'm like unwrapping it and I'm like, just like it's almost like the exact same video as the Nintendo Kid that everyone has watched. Yeah, it's almost identical. I was like the same age.
Man, so you still got the Christmas gift on time?
I guess so. I don't remember how they pulled it off, but they said it was like not easy.
Jeez. Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't. If they're getting stuff off eBay and like getting bricks in the mail and shit, it sounds like a horrible nightmare. And imagine an angry little Criken. You don't want an angry little Criken in your house.
Okay, look, I usually go along with the joke, but I was the sweetest baby and the sweetest child, and I will not have my childhood name tarnished. Okay, I may be a monster now, but you cannot come at young Criken. Okay, thank you.
Lawrence, to answer your question, my parents always made it a lesson.
Oh,
So for example, like if I wanted a Nintendo or whatever, a lot of the times my parents were really good at getting that, even though we were, relatively poor. And it was one of those things where they were always like, if we get this for you, you have to be playing this in 1 year. And I, as a child, was always like, all right, I have to commit. Like, for example, I got a drum set when I was 14. And they were like, if we buy you a drum set, you must continue to play the drums. We can't spend $500 on a drum set and then have you just throw it down. And by the way, I wasn't that kid. I wasn't the kid that would like pick something up and then be like, never mind. I didn't do that kind of stuff. But they were always like, make sure you stick to it. And I did. That was always what I had to do. I had to commit to the fact that I had this for a long period of time. So my parents were pretty good about getting the things that I asked for. And then if we weren't, like if they couldn't get it or if they couldn't afford it or whatever, then it was just sort of like, don't be ungrateful. That's all it was. It was like, you have food, you have shelter, you have us. Don't be ungrateful. And I was like, okay.
And that worked.
No. Like as a child, of course, I was like upset about it. And I'd be like, well, come on, my friends have a Nintendo. Baby Criken has a Nintendo 64. How come I can't have a Nintendo 64? And my parents would be like, because don't be ungrateful. And I'd be like, all right. And I'd be upset about it, but I moved on.
That's
I learned my lesson. And they were right. I mean, like they were totally right. Like I didn't have anything to actually complain about. But as a child, of course, it feels like you know, if all your friends have Super Nintendo and you don't, well then you are a lesser human being when you're 7 years old, you know?
Yeah. Self-worth is usually attributed directly to belongings at that age. And to some degree nowadays. Yeah. A lot of people still feel that way.
Definitely is, yeah.
Let's see. I remember largely getting the consoles that asked for. I guess N64 was like, the first time that I feel like a console was super constrained at Christmas. So I think my parents were able to get that one. I do recall there was, once I started developing my particular tastes about games, I did ask them for a very obscure Super Nintendo RPG called Secret of Evermore that they just couldn't find.
Yeah.
And as now I understand, like, first of all, it's a weird name. I remember my mom calling stores for it when I was in the room, and she would get the name wrong virtually every time, which would kind of put me on edge. But she was trying her best, and you know, it was just gibberish to her, so I don't hold her accountable for that. But I'm just trying to appreciate how difficult it was to try to do that back in the day. And then I remember at Christmas, the gift I got was a box with a Post-it note inside with the name of the game drawn on it. And I remember opening it and being like, I can't really play this. And then, my dad kind of laid into me for being ungrateful.
Oh, jeez.
And it was one of those weird moments because he made me just feel like total shit.
Yeah.
Which I guess was appropriate because I'm sure I was being a little shit about it too, but I was also a child. And I don't know, I do recall there was just a history of not really getting the best Christmas gifts. Like basically I would just write down a list of exactly what I wanted, and then if I was lucky, some of those things would appear. And then it was just largely a scattershot of whatever else they swiped at Walmart. I remember the best possible Christmas. It was the perfect Christmas. I got a couple of things I asked for and some other things I didn't, but also still enjoyed. I got like they're like plastic Lego sets. That was more about engineering and building structures and stuff. Kinex, which is like the most extreme name. I got one of those and I was like, holy crap, this is actually a really sick gift. Oh my God. And like that kind of stuck with me just because I just remember I think when I was ages 12 to 17, my mom kept finding a DVD of Tron and wrapping it thinking that I didn't have it yet, and then kept giving it to me.
Wait, would she buy like copies of it every time?
No, I already bought Tron because I liked the movie. I owned it on DVD already. And then she gave it to me one Christmas and was like, oh, I really like this movie, but I already have this exact thing. Thank you, though. And then I would like leave it in a different place other than my own room where I kept all my stuff.
And she thought it wasn't yours?
I think every year she would find it again and be like, oh, Lawrence likes that movie. And then she'd wrap it. And then I would open it and be and like the third time I swore it was a joke. My mom usually doesn't pull jokes like that. It's not really her humor. Yeah. And I was like, Mom, do you know that you did this twice already? And she was just like, what? And I was like, you are either pranking me so effectively right now or you actually just forgot. And I as much as I would really like to give her credit for that, I'm pretty sure she just forgot every year. She would just kind of go around looking for gifts and then be reminded that I liked that movie. But
sorry, buddy.
Hey, that was more on the nose than most of the gifts I got. So at least that was like, there was some understanding there.
Lawrence said, I don't want to digress too much, but whenever my parents would forget things like that, because like that would happen too. I'm sure Criken had the same deal where like occasionally your parents would forget something and you're like, how did you forget that when you were a kid? Now you know, because you're an adult.
Yeah.
And you've got 7,000 other things to worry about. So I'm sure your mom was like, trying to keep the house up and trying to keep everybody happy and like doing all sorts of crazy shit. And then also she saw this, was like, oh, Lawrence would really like this, and wrapped it again. And you're like, what the fuck, Mom? And then now that you're an adult, you're like, holy shit, there's a lot to think about, you know, like it really adds perspective to that whole thing of being a kid.
Man, big deal. Yeah, for sure. And she was a teacher too. So she worked all day, had to keep hundreds of kids in her mind and what's going on with them. And it was a pretty wild moment. It's you guys mentioned a dynamic where as a kid there's an amount of social clout to getting or receiving or being attached to products. And Criken, I think you very astutely pointed that it's not that different now. I think very literally with the way people were like on social media sort of bragging. I mean, bragging is maybe too strong of a term, but there were a lot of people posting screenshots of themselves securing pre-orders and stuff like that. It's almost like it was a status thing.
Definitely.
And then very literally that can be the case if it's launch day and you're one of the first streamers on Twitch, you know, streaming the PS5 Live, that can have serious benefits to you as a content creator. So I feel like we're not only socially in a weird cycle where there's status attached to spending money or being one of the chosen few that get to have a product, but there's actually money on the line.
That's right.
And how weird is it to be in the middle of a consumption chain where somebody makes a product, you can gain prestige and views by attaching yourself to that, only so other people can also eventually buy that product. I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. I guess it just is what it is.
That's capitalism.
Yeah, it has. I think to your point, Lawrence. I think it is capitalism. It's always been like that to some degree, but it has become streamlined to such an efficient point that now it's like, you know, I am the PS5 YouTube channel. All of my content is about covering the launch of PS5. If I don't get my PS5 pre-order, like, that's it for me. my career is in the toilet when that game launches, or that console launches. And so, like, and I know some people that are in this same kind of area, like, for example, a good friend of mine, Vadi, that, you know, has made his kind of whole focus of his channel around, you know, exploring the lore and kind of deep diving into the From Software games. I've talked to him, and it's been like, well, what do you want to do? Like, what do you do when there isn't a new game? Like, what is in that area in between the new games? And it's like, it's a real struggle. You've got to like find more stuff to talk about and like bring people's interest back to the old games. And then they like drip feed information about the new ones. And you've got to like find a way to speculate about the new game in this whole video. I don't know. It's like the business of hype is a business more than anything at this point.
Well, it's PR. Like it's marketing. It's astounding to me that accidentally content creators have become crowdfunded PR for companies because of the excitement about it. It's not a bad thing. It's just it feels a little creepy sometimes.
Yeah, I mean it is it's weird because you're right, Lawrence. It does feel creepy, but at the same time, it's like it's the world that we've built for ourselves, and we're feeding into it.
Yeah.
So it's like to me, it's always like, yeah, it is strange, but we're not doing anything to like push ourselves further from it. We are instead feeding into it, and so I don't really know how to feel it. So then at that point, it's like, well, you know, if I got it, like, because I got the PS5 pre-order, but I didn't tweet about it because I didn't want to make anybody else upset. Because and
yeah,
I didn't want to be like, whoa, but also maybe people aren't being dicks about it. Maybe they're just excited. You know, I don't necessarily know that they're doing it for clout. They may just be just like, fuck yeah, cool. Because like I was excited that I got that computer with a 3080 in it. That's why I tweeted a picture of it, because I was like genuinely very excited to try the machine that I got. And I was super upset about all those stupid bots that got all the pre-orders. So I was like, fuck you, bots. Like, you know, like
I'm a human and here's mine.
Yeah, I'm a human. It wasn't for clout at any point in that.
Did you post a picture of like one of your gross human appendages next to it, or are we just supposed to assume that you're not a bot?
Oh, I didn't. You're right.
Yeah, Bruce, you could be a VTuber for all we know.
You might want to go back for that.
Bruce, say the word. Say the T word. Say it.
What, the VTuber?
No. It's kind of related to another headline about that VTuber management company that dismissed some of their clients because they had the audacity to say one of the 3 T's in a stream.
Wait, what are the 3 T's?
Tibet, Taiwan, Tiananmen, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the ones you're never allowed to say. And what's weird is it's a Japanese management company.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, sorry to completely swerve on everything, but
wow, that is really, really interesting.
Also, I guess I just got kicked out of the VTuber scene too. Damn it!
Not just you, but all of us.
They got me, all of them. Well, you guys didn't say anything. You should be fine.
Yeah. Well, I didn't condemn you for it.
Yeah, the story's
not
pretty
yet.
wild. And let me make sure I'm not missing anything here.
I was planning on being a VTuber. Like, no joke. I was planning on trying to figure out the VTubing thing. I thought it would be fun.
I've also been in the works of trying to. We can talk after the podcast, but there's a few things that I'm very excited about potentially regarding the VTuber like trend. I think it's such an exciting market, and like especially with people like me who do roleplay stuff. And we always like make a new character, and like you don't really want to be on camera for that because it doesn't really add anything, and it just kind of takes you out of the world. Having a virtual representation of that character is a really powerful, like tool. So I'm really excited by the potential for that stuff.
No, I think it's really neat. I was just gonna try it out. I don't know. I honestly don't know how simple or easy it is. So I need to do a little more research on it. But
I think people also always assume that it's like kind of anime girl like weeb inspired stuff. I don't think it even has to be that. You can make a character that's like,
yes, it does.
Well, okay. All the popular ones so far have been that, but I personally think you could do VTuber stuff where you're like, something completely wild. Like, what if you're just like a ham sandwich, and you're a ham sandwich that's like role plays as a ham sandwich and streams, 5 days a week as a ham sandwich? I'd watch that.
Does the ham sandwich have giant titties?
It needs to have huge tits.
Huge tits, Criken.
All right, I rest my case. I'm gonna go. My food's outside. I'm gonna go get the robot arrived.
I'm diving into those ham shakes. He's gonna go motorboat himself a sandwich. I know what he's gonna do. I know.
Listen, Lawrence, we should do this whole podcast as VTubers one time.
Oh, that would actually be a pretty cool idea. Yeah. I mean, last time I diddled with it, it was just face rig, and face rig's fun mostly because it is just derpy. Like, if you're face rigged, basically you're an anime girl that has had a stroke at some point because the eye is always like half down and like the head kind of jitters around a little bit. I actually really, really like that aesthetic. To me, it's the perfect version of the broken future we live in. Yep. But I can only presume that VTuber tech has come a long way since then.
Oh, it has. I think, man, you know what? I'm gonna look into it because I feel it would be really neat if all 3 of us did VTuber stuff for this podcast one time, or every time.
Every time. We've proven we are masters of improv, so it would be very easy for us to step directly into characters and feed off of each other in a very sympathetic way.
Oh man, what a time! Gosh, it's so exciting when I was, because I saw apparently Pokimane she is converting to full VTuber.
That's smart.
She will not be showing herself on camera nearly as much anymore because she is full VTuber. And I was like, holy shit, that's something we can do? Like, I didn't even think about that as something that we could do, that we could convert ourselves to a VTuber.
Yeah.
Instead of being this flesh and bone garbage that we are.
I hate flesh and bone.
I hate it all.
Right?
Sweat and hair and what else?
Keep going.
All the things that ooze out of my orifices.
Yeah, get the liquid out. All of it. All the ooze.
I just want to be an anime girl with huge tits.
non-porous.
I've been waiting to hear that so long, Bruce.
Just a porcelain-skinned
yes,
little
pristine and pure, hairless, smellless, fluids only in the right places and the right consistencies. Yeah. I've been waiting for the cutoff, and I think essentially we're already there, where a living human can live in a dark cube, never leave it, never put on clothes, and still make like a full salary. So with VTubing now, you could like get up out of the pile of trash that you sleep in, stumble over to your desk, fire up your
right.
anime girl, and then just be like, hey cute boys, I'm here playing a new game, and then just do your thing all day. Ideally, you have somebody else manage all your social and all that shit. and then you just shut it down and you just kind of plop back to sleep on the same like pile of hamburger wrappers you woke up on.
Eventually, your VTuber avatar would die on camera.
Yeah, you can make whole narratives.
Nobody would know why. No, I mean you would literally die.
Oh, never mind. Your meat sack would die.
Well, because your meat sack would die, but nobody would know why because you looked perfect.
But then who controls the IP there?
Oh, well, okay. Now we're getting to the exciting stuff. Once you die, if you have made a successful like virtual persona IP,
you're like Batman. It's like a symbol.
Yes. Literally, someone steps in for you. Especially if they can emulate your voice or use a voice moderator or like whatever it is, they can just pick up where you left off. You become greater than yourself. You become an idea. You are the Dread Pirate Roberts of content creation, and I think that is so dystopian and fucking awesome, and I love it. So that's why I want to get into VTubing. I want to die and no one know.
No, you want to live forever, Criken. This is the only path to immortality.
This is the path to immortality, exactly.
Do you think? Wait a minute. Do you think Pokimane is doing that?
Pokimane's been dead for 6 years, Bruce.
Do you think?
She's preparing grooming the next of kin of the Pokimane kingdom?
I mean, think about it though, because I'm Criken, when I think you were away getting your food, but I was saying that she's basically converting to full VTuber. Yeah. If she does that, it may not even be her. It may not even be her anymore. It could just be somebody doing a voice.
Yeah, it's the Avril Lavigne. Avril Lavigne was ahead of the game, you guys. She predicted all of this in 2003 when she moved to her Antarctic hideaway and replaced herself with a stunt double.
Like Superman.
Yeah. Avril Lavigne's been in her Fortress of Solitude for the past 2 decades writing the perfect pop punk album. Guys, I brief aside, I've turned around on Avril Lavigne in a big way. She's some bobs. She got some bobs.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, she's great.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're all together on that one.
Did we ever think she wasn't great?
I mean, I remember there being a backlash against. I mean, she was kind of the embodiment of the popification of punk, which itself is theoretically and philosophically anti-pop.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So yeah, she sort of embodied that. Is Avril Lavigne the first fake streamer girl? Because I remember her presentation. Everyone accused her of being like fake punk and all that shit, and being like a created pop act that was wearing the clothing of punk, which is basically the same thing that people throw against any woman who has the misfortune of being slightly attractive on Twitch right now.
Yeah, you're right.
Which also makes VTubing great, because then dudes can just be creepy towards an anime girl, and the actual living flesh and blood woman behind it there's like a barrier there, which is nice.
I mean, that's also not a new concept of like a girl being like shit on for being in the same realm as men and also being sought after by said men because they like don't know any better. Like that's been repeated since the beginning of time, and I know that because I've been playing Crusader Kings III. This is my little segue, because I've been diving into this game recently, and I've never played a Crusader Kings game before this, but it is basically a really fascinating like retelling of history. It's basically just like a giant story simulator where you build a nation and you're able to like events will happen and you can play the character any sort of direction you want to go between. I want to be intrigue and try to marry all of my heirs off into bigger empires and then assassinate the next of kin until I fall into the line of succession, or you go military and just take everything by force. Like you can kind of retell how history goes, and it all roughly plays out like as it actually did. So you can play as, Ireland and try to unify Ireland while the Vikings invade, England. And it's like it's a really funny, just like for role playing and storytelling, because you can like have insane scenarios where, like last night I did a stream where I seduced the Queen of Poland, even though I was like the King of Norway, or I was a vassal to Norway basically. And I seduced the Queen of Poland. We have an affair. We become soulmates. Within a month of us becoming soulmates, she gets A, pregnant, B, found out, and C, imprisoned by the King of Poland. Then my wife comes to me and says, I can't believe you cheated on me. And I assure her, don't worry, our thing is over. Then 10 years pass where she is in the dungeons of Poland until eventually the king dies of a sickness. I then use my influence to assassinate the next king, who takes her as as his concubine, and then I recruit her into my court. She assassinates my wife, and I make her my new wife. So
How
it
did
is
this
like
all happen in one gameplay session?
it was. I mean, it was like a 4-hour session, I think, but like it you span a lot of time in that game, and you're meant to like constantly have heirs, and then they rise up, and like it's crazy, but history is crazy, and I'm reminded by that from this game. Like, it is insane, the shit that they pulled back in the day, and a lot of it just goes under the radar, but like this game really makes it a feature, which is super cool.
Man.
Criken, have you ever given I hope I'm not presumptuous in saying that you seem to love like emergent narratives out of intertwining gameplay.
I do.
Yeah.
You would be presumptuous and correct.
Well, let's say presumption then. I'm sure you've been asked this before, but have you messed around with Dwarf Fortress?
No, not yet. I've played Space Station 13 and really enjoyed that. I haven't gone quite Dwarf Fortress. I kind of use like Tomato's kind of my more extreme like taste maker of this sort of stuff. Like, he usually tends to go for the even more nerdy and simulation heavy games than I do. And then if he enjoys them, then he'll tell me he likes them, and they're, he thinks I would like them, and then I kind of expand my boundaries that way. Crusader Kings, I found myself, and I've really grown to like it. So I'm willing to kind of step outside my my comfort zone more now. So.
What about The Sims? Were you big into The Sims?
Yeah. Not so much the more recent stuff. I like Sims 2 a lot. It felt like they were just getting more dumbed down and more microtransaction heavy, and so I kind of stopped caring as much. But
gotcha. Okay,
Sims
that's
is goofy.
interesting, man. I love those games, but we've talked about this before, so we don't have to dig into it too much. I just still, to me, games are so much a series of hurdles that have to be cleared. So when a game is just like, I don't know, it's a track, do what you want. I don't know. I kind of, it's weird because every time I get into them, it's not hard for me to start spinning up narratives and having fun. But it's that initial, like, there's no conquest to be done here, and somehow my gamer ego isn't fed by them. So it's such a weird motivational factor. I have to constantly be feeling like I'm beating something, which is ironic. Like, those things are meant to be beaten, so it's not like I'm doing anything.
Well, that's what a game is. That's what I mean. You're describing what a video game is. Like, a game is generally meant to be beaten. Usually, not I guess not always, but usually you're overcoming obstacles, right? It doesn't have to be as as specific as what Criken experienced last night. I don't know. For me, that I liked that a lot. I think with Bannerlord. Is that once Bannerlord, I finally figured out, oh, this game wants me to interact with everybody and take over everything. Like, you can actually get away with not taking over everything and being sort of kind of like, I'll have an alliance and be an ally with a few other people, and you'll consider that the end of the game. It's like the game is saying, it's like daring you to put that much time into it.
Yeah.
And if you don't like the game at the start, then it's going to be really hard to get into it. But if you do get into it, then you're going to play 100 hours of it.
Well, Bannerlord is also kind of weird because I would argue that the beginning of the game is very slow compared to the mid game, and then the late game gets slow also. Yeah. But the mid game is like the best part of it, and so a lot of people probably get burnt out on Bannerlord because they just get killed by mobs of looters over and over again, and then they're like, nah. But if you get past that and you get to the actual having an army and strategy and working for a king, like, that stuff gets fun. Crusader King is similar in that I think the first thing you do when you launch the game is they say Crusader Kings does not have an end. There is no winning. So get that out of your head. You're not trying to take over the entire world. You can if you want to. It's possible. But literally you set your own goals. And so, they kind of get ahead of that. And then afterwards you kind of, it's the thing that has been the hardest for me to learn. I mean, I'm new to the game, so I'm kind of learning it as I go, but it really started to click last night when I played it, is that you can have an amazing life as this one ruler, and you can take over. For example, I took over all of Norway. I literally made the kingdom of Norway, from one little county all the way to all of Norway. And then now my guy's going to die, and it's all of my land is just going to get divvied up amongst my heirs. And you just got to play it all over again as these new heirs, trying to reconsolidate the land you once held as like your father once held. You're like living in the shadow of your previous ruler, and that part's really fascinating. And I don't know how to do it yet. I do not know how to build an heir that can possibly like support the legacy of the former. But that's also like how history is, like you can have a really talented warlord, and then their son comes in and messes everything up because they never had to do anything in their entire life. And that's exactly the problem I'm in right now, where my warlord is like really badass, but I know my son is gonna suck, and I'm like, I have no idea what to do for that.
You're experiencing real life, Criken.
That's
like you didn't raise the right heir, and so now
I actually haven't. We were brainstorming. My chat was like, if you can get in a war and put him as commander of your army, you can maybe get him killed before you die, and then you have a new heir, and you can groom that one correctly, because this one is bad. Like he's not ready for it. He's already married to someone who's cheating on him. Like it's already like it's a mess. I actually had nightmares about it. I was sleeping last night and I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? This my son is a failure, and I don't know what to do yet.
Wow, jeez.
So how can you tell that your heir is a dud right away? Are there like stats, or is it just through actions?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, this guy sucks.
There's stats, there's inherited traits. So he missed out on some of my good inherited traits. My character is like beautiful, apparently. He's like got like Fabio hair, and he's like considered attractive and intelligent and everything. And my son is like a third of that intelligence and attractiveness, and then also he doesn't specialize in any one skill. And usually when you pick a ruler, you want to have like one skill that you're like very, is like your approach to gaining more land and influence. But my son is just like a jack of all trades. So I need to get a new son is the deal.
Get a new son. Lawrence, are there any games like that you play?
Just like emergent narrative games?
Yeah.
I mean, I was big into like Civ and The Sims back in the day. I guess these days, not really. I don't know. I have such a backlog of like conquest games, ones that have offended my ego to the point where I feel like I have to reclaim it for no specific reason. Also, just in general, I really enjoy playing. I really enjoy sampling just a ton of variety. I feel like it would be so much easier if I were super into like just FYI. Yes, I see both chats saying that the stream is super choppy. I don't know what to do about that.
Just
it is what it is, guys. So
if it's not on Lawrence's side, it's Twitch.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I got disconnected from chat for a second there, so it may just be chat, or it may just be Twitch.
It's chat's fault.
It is chat's fault. That is absolutely true. I don't know why you guys are doing this to us. One would hope that you guys would be a little more supportive than this, than trying to drag us down and destroy us. But
what's their problem?
Can't stop you from doing it. Can't stop you, but go off, I guess. All right, yeah, games. So I feel like it'd be a lot easier if I could listen to an album for 45 minutes or watch a movie in 90 minutes, and be like, okay, I now have the full experience of that in my brain, and I can move on. My world has been expanded. Games don't really work that way, man. Games are, I guess, a little like books in terms of the amount of time you kind of got to bite off. So it's that's kind of why I really wish there were more shorter games, just because I love them so much, and I like basically seeing what every experimentation is with different gameplay cycles or gameplay systems and different visual presentation and stuff like that. I mean, to that point, there has been a rash of just utterly incredible roguelikes coming out lately. There's like Hades is the one everyone's talking about because it hit 1.0 and it's absolutely phenomenal. But there's a couple of other smaller ones, Gone Viral and Going Under, or a couple I've played recently that are both just utterly delightful and have their own little twists about the gameplay mechanics. So I don't know. I really enjoy consuming that stuff. I also just think, I don't know. I think I don't know if you guys have noticed this. Maybe this is just how my brain works, but sometimes my imagination is in overdrive and sometimes it's completely dead. And I kind of don't know. I don't know. I haven't really experimented much with kickstarting it. Like I never have to reach into my imagination on purpose, but yeah.
That's normal. I mean, like, if you're not, I feel like that's pretty standard unless there's like some eccentric creative, which I don't necessarily think any three of us is. I think a lot of the times I don't have any brain power to dedicate to imagining anything. Usually I'm like busy trying to solve 7 problems, or obviously or dedicating that brain power to creating content. So it's very rare that I get to sit down and just imagine for imagining's sake, which is something you used to do all the time as a kid because you had a bunch of brain power and all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Which is great, honestly. Like, I think it's a really cool thing that I wish I could get into now. And I guess you probably can, right? It's just harder to do.
Actually,
it's like meditation.
Yeah. Now that you bring that up, I find that I can invoke that state by going for a walk. Like if I just walk, it usually takes about 20 minutes of just putting one foot in front of the other and kind of letting my mind spin on whatever it's preoccupied with. But after a while, I think when it is just the gentle world rolling by and no other real mental stimulation, then it kind of allows your brain to, spin off one idea from the other and sort of follow a chain of thought out into some weird space.
I need to get better at that. I don't really have a go-to place to let my brain reset. I feel like I'm just surrounded by things that require my attention or remind me of things that I need to do. That I've been lacking that lately. I think showers are maybe the only thing that come to mind. I think a lot in the shower. That's kind of just like a monotonous and kind of comfortable physical space that I can forget about the flesh and focus on the brain.
Yeah. No, I'm Lawrence. I'm the same as you. I'm more of a walker. I like getting out and walking. Until like when there were a bunch of fires the last couple of weeks, I was so bummed because I usually would go and try and walk, but you couldn't do that then. So,
dude,
you're just stuck in the fucking house. You're just like, oh my gosh, like could it have gotten worse here with quarantine and then the fires? Ugh.
Can't go to restaurants, but at least you can like go outside. You can walk. Nope, can't go outside. The air's unlivable. Okay, well, at least we can go everywhere in our apartment. Nope, it's a heat wave. So if there's a room that doesn't have air conditioning, you don't get to be there anymore. I mean, again, we're all training ourselves to live in dark, unlit cubes, wake up, waddle over to our computers.
I hate that. I hate that. Just the feeling of that in the last 6 months I've just gotten a small taste of what you're describing. And man, oh man, I cannot survive on that. I can't.
Do you think this is going to be this is like a science fiction short novel sort of prompt, but if there is, I mean, we're literally in it right now, but let's presume for the sake of our own sanity that the world isn't the way it is right now, and society truly did shift where things are more online, things are more digital. What happens to the people who, like Bruce, who need sunshine and actual human companionship to stay alive? Did you just have to deal with depression for the rest of your life? Yeah.
Shitty extroverts. Take a walk in our shoes. Introvert gang, rise up. It's time to inherit the earth.
Well, you won't inherit the earth. You'll inherit a small black cube. That's what you actually won't inherit the earth because you don't want to go anywhere.
That's true. I also don't even fully identify as an introvert, so I just like playing the.
I know. Devil's advocate. Lawrence, that's a great question. The more that this happens in terms of pandemic, the more I've been thinking I need to go places. So so I have been mapping out things I'm going to do and places I'm going to go when I can. Yeah, exactly. So and honestly, even figuring out how to go places safely right now. Like I went and saw a movie a couple of weeks ago. I was like, I'm going to go see Tenet in Orange County because they have movie theaters open, and I did. I wore a mask, the whole deal, but I felt like a completely different person after I'd done it. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like that's right. There is an entire place outside of the house I've been in for 6 months. So I have been mapping those things out in my head, being like, as soon as Disneyland opens, I'm going to go safely, but I'm going to go to Disneyland. I don't care if it's at capacity. I don't care if there's, 50% less people or whatever. It doesn't matter. I just need to go and do a thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'll go crazy.
Stephanie and I went to a Hello Kitty cafe, and that was delightful.
That sounds great.
Yeah. It was wonderful. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Criken.
When you mentioned Disneyland, it just like reminded me of like a bunch of memories I've had of going to Disneyland the last year or 2 years with friends, and then I've just felt like this overwhelming sense of sadness, and I think that has been like, unfortunately, my coping mechanism has just been to like try to forget of all the good times.
Oh my
It's just
God.
been like focus on what I have in front of me and try not to remember what I'm missing, because if I do, then I'm going to get really sad about it. Which sounds really depressing, and it is. But like it's just I don't know. I don't know if that's a good or a bad way to dealing with things. I don't know, man.
I think that
we're all trying to. Yeah, I know. There's going to be long-term side effects of this. I'm sure. We're all just like doing what makes sense at the moment and then trying to figure it out. But boy, that got me. I really miss traveling. That's my biggest gripe.
Yeah, me
I just
too.
want to go anywhere and where I don't know people.
So take my advice, because we've done this a couple of times and it's really helped. Autumn and I drove to Santa Barbara a couple of times. Mm-hmm. It's a 90-minute drive, and it was great. It makes you feel like you're somewhere else, because you are. And that felt like my traveling for the year, was just driving to somewhere else and spending literally only one night there. That if you Criken, do yourself a favor and do that. Like that will reset you a little bit and make you feel a little more normal. Same goes for anybody else that's feeling that way. if you're tired of being at home, just drive to an hour outside your city and go stay in a hotel or something. Do it safely, but do that. It'll make you feel like a different person for at least a little bit.
Bruce, can you foresee a future where anything else can fill that hole in your heart of traveling and being around people? Any mix of hyper realistic VR plus haptic suit so you can feel the wind in your face or whatever?
Nah.
Nah.
Those are that's we're probably talking about a future 1,000 years away, with like actual interaction from humans and stuff like that. Because for right now, with the technology we have, no way.
I will say I'm planning to clean up my room. I need to first before I get my VR back out. But once I do that, I think VR chat and things like it they're not quite the same, and they don't
help.
fill that hole that you're looking for, Bruce. But they do help, and I think in the past it's been a really interesting way of me like connecting with people that either live far away from me or that I don't get to see that often, and like feels like we're all hanging out, to some extent. So, I think that's, as far as for right now, it's probably the best alternative we have.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Talking to you guys and playing games with you guys always helps. Interacting with anybody outside of just me and Autumn is great, and it does really help. But I have noticed that having gone outside and Autumn and I went and had dinner on a patio a couple of nights ago, and I was like, "Holy fucking shit! What the fuck? What was I doing?" Man, oh man! It just completely changed my mindset. Mm-hmm. Where I was like, I need to take more time to go do these things now, in this pandemic world.
Yeah.
Rather than avoiding it for convenience sake.
I went to the beach with some of my college friends a few weeks ago, and the beach town we were in, you were required to have masks on, and you were fined like $100 if you didn't. So they were pretty aggressive at that, which was pretty good. And then everyone would set up in the beach, more than 12 feet away from each other, a far enough distance that you didn't feel like you were surrounded by people, and it was so refreshing. I did not realize how much I needed that, but I think we ended up staying there the entire day, literally until sunset, from 10 a.m. or whatever, just because it was a change, and you're running out of water and food and stuff, but no one wanted to leave because they'd have to go back to their apartments and stuff. I don't know. That stuff really matters, even if it feels inconvenient or unnecessary at the moment.
Yeah, what a weird world. Lawrence, I don't know how you've been dealing with it.
I don't know either, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's understandable. I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way, but it puts a strain on the relationship between me and Stephanie. It gets harder to find things to do. Yeah. And
absolutely.
I think we all kind of take it differently, and then that frustration expresses itself in different ways.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
So there's the ratcheting up of tensions in general can just make things unpredictable and weird. Like people say that money troubles can cause relationships to break up, and it's not because you're literally fighting about money. Well, it can be, or disagreements about what it means and what it means for your future and all that. But it's really just like the added stress of all that. Just worrying if you're going to make rent can cause you to lash out about something that you wouldn't have otherwise.
That's right.
So there, I guess applying that to myself makes it sound like a glass falls off of a countertop and then I fly into a screaming rage, which isn't the case. But I do think that there are a lot of interactions there that have certainly changed the tempo and the tone of what's going on.
Yeah.
Personally, though, like I've never been hugely outgoing. Kind of spent my childhood and formative years. I mean, I hate to always throw back to this, but it's super small town with no car. I just didn't see anyone. I got used to getting my socialization through video games. Like that was the most communication I ever had with other people, really. Was playing games and like experiencing all of the stories or interactions that somebody else had put there and left for me. So I guess in some way I'm kind of mentally attuned to being inside and feeling like I'm in the middle of a desert because that's kind of how I grew up. So I don't know, maybe to some degree I don't know what I'm missing, but I do get a lot of my socialization beats from Twitch. Just talking to and meeting people on there and having them share stories about their day. It does, I think, stabilize me mentally a little bit to just hear what other people are doing and going through and getting thoughts that aren't my own. And kind of tumbling into a weird mental spiral. So there's that. Walking does help quite a bit too.
Yeah.
I do think, just to go off of I think how you described how Twitch has kind of become our social circle now. I don't think I've like said the name, like considered the name chat as like an entity as much as I have these last 6 months. Like, if you think about the amount of time you spend talking to any friend compared to the amount of time you spend talking to chat, the entity chat, it's like it's really surreal. I don't know. It's kind of dawning on me that I think I've talked more to the entity of chat than anyone else in my life for this extended amount of time. Excuse me.
Oh, bless you. Yes. You know what? I mean, especially you, Criken, you've been doing this for, what you said, 9 years, right? You just had your 9-year anniversary.
Yeah.
I mean, probably just in terms of timeshare, yes. I don't think you've talked to anybody else longer than that. I mean, maybe your parents or something, but like...
I guess I meant more like the concentration of it, of like, if you're to measure out all the time spent talking to any individual over the last 6 months, the individual of chat is like the lion's share of that, like 90% plus. And it's like, Jesus, what does that mean? Like, what does that affect on like my subconscious? This named individual that isn't an individual. It's an entity. It's a group. It's a community. But like, they are my go-to when talking about stuff. I don't know. It's very odd.
Yeah, there's so many things that we're experiencing for the first time in this generation that nobody really knows what effect it's having on you mentally.
Not even related to COVID. Just like, we were already in like kind of unprecedented time, and then COVID on top of that. Like, we are the guinea pigs of of a lot of developmental essays, I'm sure, that will be coming out in the next couple decades. Yeah,
sociologists have their work cut out for them. Many master's theses have been decided.
Yeah, by how much clout you get from one tweet, or what dopamine receptors are activated by Instagram likes.
I mean, Bruce, that's a fair point too, though. Like, I guess I get my surrogate socialization from Twitch, so I guess kind of throwing back to loose insinuations about people discussing buying products. For all I know, that could be a goddamn cry for connection.
Yeah,
you're on the internet. Everyone's excited about a thing. You feel like you can participate in that excitement, and it's tough because the more that we're kind of disconnected from each other and seeking out those connections, the more that those connections themselves get a little fuzzy because people are dealing with it in their own ways. I always try to keep myself open-minded, but it can be tough. It can be tough on the internet of ours sometimes.
Yeah.
People are mean to me on the internet. You guys promised. You promised you wouldn't be mean.
You promised. Oh, man. I don't think anybody on the internet has ever promised not to be mean.
No, but I like the idea. I like you know how every movie has that scene where somebody's literalized the advent of walking into the internet. You know, there's like that scene from Wreck-It Ralph.
Right.
Where it's like, welcome to the internet. And it's like a large bridge and there's all these stupid icons and buildings that are meant to represent social media services and stuff. I always imagine that in that moment, they shove a user-in license agreement for the internet in your hand. And the big thing is you promise not to be mean, and everyone signs that. Because of course they do. And then when someone's mean to me, I get to say, no, wait a minute. You forgot. You signed a contract to be on the internet that said you wouldn't be mean to me specifically.
Lawrence, you just kind of maybe had a tiny little epiphany right then.
Yeah.
When you said that, what I just realized is, because you're saying, you know, like shoving a EULA in front of you and then you sign that contract being like, I'm not going to be mean because I'm on the internet. That's what society is. Society is literally an unspoken contract where when you're walking around, you're not going to be a dick. You're not going to be shoving people and calling them names and doing all sorts of stuff. I think that's why the internet right now is fostering so much like hate and negativity, is because there is no contract on the internet. Everyone's anonymous.
Yeah.
And so there is no staring face to face. There is no hearing somebody's voice and seeing their mannerisms, seeing what the problems they have are, or who knows. So no one signed that contract on the internet or the unspoken contract like they have in society. And that's what I've started doing now with people that are like clearly trolls. They'll pop into my chat. My chat's small enough to where I can see a troll from a mile away. I can spot them, and then I know, and I'm like, okay, well, see you later, internet coward, because that's what they are. They're basically just a coward. And if they truly wanted to have a dialogue and like talk face to face with me, they would. They would have a dialogue with me on Twitch, but they don't. In society, you can't do that. You can't just walk up to somebody and be like, fuck you, you asshole. You're stupid for liking blank, and then walk away. You know, like that's not a thing that you can do.
It's a cool way to think about it in that like each Twitch community with their own set of rules is like a county on this like lawless land where, you know, welcome to my town where you can say anything but this word. This is my angry word, and if you say this word, you're out of here. And it's like every little town has their own, you know,
don't make me
their
tap
own
the sign.
Rules.
Yeah.
And I think also why I think Twitch communities do build such like retention is because if you find people that gel with the rules of your town, then like, you know, it's a safe place for them to come and hang out and like make new friends and feel like they're socializing, compared to the scary lawlessness of the Wild West internet all around it.
That's right.
I'll always
No, you go ahead, Lawrence.
Oh, I just remember like the first couple of times I went to QuakeCon, which again, small town dude, not very well socialized. But even then, I knew that like you don't talk to people in real life the way you do on the internet. Like that already kind of made sense to me. But when I went there for the first time and got to meet nerds at large, it was kind of the first time I did experience people just rolling up and speaking to you like it's the internet. And I remember like me and a friend, we were just trying to like get something to work because Windows networking wasn't as easy back then as it is now. And some dude, some rotund fella just rolled on up and started like offering us tips and then like talking shit about Windows. And I'm just like, I just turned and stared at him and he was just like, and had that, you know, like smug kind of internet nerd vibe about him. And we, like, I think, like, my friend, like, we were both kind of young. I think I was 18, 19, like, old enough to drive, basically. And we both just sort of froze up because we were like, this dude, like, we don't know how to deal with this in real life. At least that's where my head was at. And so we just kind of, like, we're very ominously quiet until he just sort of grumbled something and waddled away. And I was just like, oh, my God, there are really dudes who just think that that's how you talk to people. And I guess shocker, they don't really go anywhere aside from LAN parties, so I guess they don't get a whole lot of social correction there.
I think that's just their attempt at connecting, at like finding common ground or common people, and the only way they know how is how they've, been doing it online for years, and when they try it in person at like a shared, at a convention where hopefully they'll find people that share this, line of thinking, maybe that works. Maybe every once in a while they'll talk to another equally kind of rigid-minded individual, and then they have little conversations of, this sounds like a science documentary where I'm mapping out the potential for these things. I don't know if you guys, anyone in chat has had this experience where like you've gone to a convention and had a really specific conversation with someone, and you're both awkward, but you found this really specific common ground, and therefore you stay entirely within those lines on the street, like your
anime conventions.
Yeah, like I mean that I've seen that at PAX a lot too. Usually, like if you're meeting fans or something like that, fans are a little different because there's like kind of a disproportionate amount of knowledge about each other, so that's a thing to overcome. But when, for example, like I'll be playing a game of like a new demo at like an E3, and there's like someone next to me, and like I can like make an offhand comment, and they can like, or they'll make a comment, and then I'll try to like yes and whatever they're talking about to give them a sense of, nice, good interaction, nice things changed, because that's all they want. They just want to be validated in their perspective, or feel like they're among their people.
Yeah, that's that's what society is. That's why I was like, for me, when people are like, and this isn't meant toward you guys where you're like introverts rule the world or whatever. Like, I know you guys are joking. This is more of like, humans are generally, they're social beings. Like they need usually some sort of contact or connection. I think the internet helps with those connections for sure. But I don't know how healthy it is to never have connections with other human beings, like in person. And so that's why whenever Lawrence describes the cyberpunk future, I always kind of cringe, because I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing that humans can do. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think they can do it. I have faith that I think we're going there regardless.
Yeah.
Thinking about the implications, I feel like I have to prepare myself. I got to steel myself.
Do you think? Okay, let me paint a picture for you, Lawrence.
All right.
This is kind of a mixture of both, you guys. So, let's say you sign up for your cyberpod tower, right? Everyone on their time off goes into a cyberpod tower. They jack into their little cyber cubicle, and they go into their cyber VR world where they all meet everyone else. And you can choose to be accepted into like just the social circle of the tower you're in, or like a vicinity of a few 100 miles, whatever. And you hit it off with like a really like hot cyberpunk VR girl also, and the two of you guys are racing on the Miranda around the sunset in the ocean or whatever. And then you're like, all right, do you want to do this thing? You want to bump flesh? And she's like, all right, let's do it. And then you both sign out, and you just meet each other in like the flesh cube, and then you sleep with each other. Is that the vision of the cyberpunk future, where it's like you can connect digitally first and then carry it over into the physical world, or does it never leave the digital world? You know what I mean?
I think the vision of the cyberpunk future is the physical world loses appeal. Having physical sex is not interesting anymore. And that seems absurd, but I mean, there are countries where that's happening. Also, it's happening in America. Like teens aren't fucking anymore. Birth rates going down. I think
everyone's lost the horny. Horny's gone.
I think it's, you guys hear about still it? There. It's just it's VTubers, dude. Like
it's found an unrealistic and unachievable beauty image,
basically. And once that's the case, once we have invented horniness that surpasses the real world, why would most people default to the real world if there's a better, I hate to call it this way, but a better product somewhere? If all you need to do is be horny for a little bit, have something to rub yourself off to, and then carry on with your day, and you don't have to like worry about all the entanglements of a human relationship, or the fact that people have hair and fluids in the wrong places. I'll always remember, it was some documentary I think about, I can't remember specifically the focus of the documentary, but they were interviewing a dude who I think was like a masturbation champion or whatever. and in a very, and he was Japanese.
Can we go back?
Japanese. Yeah.
What? Okay, I don't know if you can qualify that statement at all, or if we're just gonna move past it.
I mean, he was the gentleman in question did set records for masturbation. Also, he had a girlfriend, so that was a weird dynamic.
Hell yeah.
And he was Japanese.
Records,
of course he was.
As in, like,
I think it's extended amount of time masturbating. We're getting distracted.
Okay, I'm sorry. I guess.
Sorry. Go
no,
ahead,
it's okay. It's understandable. The thing is, at a certain point, the gentleman in question very succinctly kind of summed up the I guess the emotional economy that goes into that sort of lifestyle, which is he was holding a DVD of a hentai or just a cute anime girl winking at you, and he basically said, with a real woman, you know, they have moods and emotions, and they have smells and hair, and they have all these unpleasant things that are tied to them being a physical living being. And then he's like, and then look at this. It's clean. It's pretty. It's always exactly what you want it to be. And he was just like, isn't this so much more pleasant? And like, I may not agree with that. I think it's clear there are some intangibles to a real human relationship that just aren't valuable to that person.
Mm-hmm.
But I can kind of see the track record where more and more people get into that mindset of why would I deal with all the entanglements and frustrations of a real human relationship when I get all that stuff satisfied by talking to my favorite VTuber who is there to provide that service. You know, almost like host cafes in Japan or something like that. I keep going back to Japan just because their society is already perfect. But they basically have like the two sides.
They've already cut away the chaff of the flesh realm, and now they're smack in the middle of the digital.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But like it's fun too because I mean you can go back and forth about the chicken and egg scenario of like appealing to the various emotional needs of the many genders. I don't mean to put it down to two, but like there are host clubs for women, maybe not rich, but successful business women who. Like, and there were interviews with them. They're like, why would I want to date? Because these guys are assholes. Like, all they do is play video games all day and then want me to be an anime girl. And fuck that. I have a job and money. So I'm going to come here and, like, buy a nice snack and talk to a pretty, beautiful man who listens to me and asks me questions and looks me in the eye and treats me respectfully. And that satisfies what I need. And I didn't have to, like, try to drag it out of a dude that I have to emotionally rehabilitate or split time with them staring at a bouncing anime titties on the screen. So it's... I can kind of see more and more, like, maybe not at large across the entirety of the human race, but I can certainly see people just deciding not to play that game anymore.
I've got some good news for everybody else listening to Lawrence's dystopian future. Japan is not actually the top society in the world right now.
Well, Bruce, hold on.
Just so you guys know,
we're looking at a tweet about Metal Gear right now, Bruce. Do you know where Metal Gear was made?
I know it was made in Japan. Yes, that's right.
I'll rest my case then.
But where is it set?
Ooh, Shadow Moses, Alaska.
Oh.
Alaska is in?
I'm not going to say America's the best either, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not even close.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to. But what I was going to say is sort of a question for Lawrence and Criken as well. Do you think eventually the human instinct wins out, and meaning the procreation instinct? Because we have to make new humans in order for the human race to continue, and that's what sort of that's what defines our existence and has for as long as we've been going.
This trailer is perfectly relevant to what is being discussed. This is
Galgun returns.
Galgun?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Galgun. Yeah,
Galgun's the best. By the way, Galgun
game.
is a game where you have a pheromone gun that you shoot at Japanese schoolgirls who are too pent up and just need to relax a little bit. They just need some good times. So you have to shoot them until they climax. It's great.
So that's my counter argument to Lawrence's dystopian future is eventually at some point humans are going to have to continue to reproduce. It's not going to stop entirely.
Look, I think what's more likely is whatever either governmental or Illuminati force is going to see the writing on the wall that people just they're tired of the human form, and then they're going to find a way to like keep fertility going while still satisfying the convenience that has like corrupted the society. If that becomes like like fucking like a VR like sex receptacle, which then feeds directly into, you know, this like sperm bank equivalent. This is all getting very messed up, but it's also, I think it's possible. I see that as a route that we go, where people are tired of the whole, oh, I gotta go on a date, I gotta like pretend I like their interests, and then we go back and smash, and hell yeah, like, you know, if they want to cut out that middleman, and these shitty people just go to VR and they're like, all right, I'll just fuck my wall and then have the jizz tube feed into the sperm bank.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that's just the faster way of doing it.
You gotta swipe your credit card so the suction nozzle disconnects from the wall.
Yeah. Oh,
and then you can clamp it onto your dick.
Oh,
and then it just takes the product away for you.
We're looping back to the bird, you know, like the you just like scan $1.50 for a service, and then you're good to go. You're relieved.
It's perfect. I mean, I think between like CRISPR and everything like that, there are the act of creating a child is kind of on the verge of being demystified and de-romanticized. And if you're squirting into a tube and your wife is having things scraped out of her so you can look at a map and pick which genes you want, like that's already away from the flow of nature enough that it's like, what's the difference between that and like going to Amazon and clicking a couple of boxes and buying a child? Boy, that came out wild, but
I mean, we're pretty far away from that. But
I think maybe on that note we should end the podcast. What a full day this has been.
I love these conversations. These are my favorite conversations. I love them.
Yeah, these are great.
Amazon announced Amazon Luna game streaming, so there's that. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, Amazon announced a cloud streaming thing.
Yeah, it's like Stadia.
Okay, not like a Twitch rival owned by because that I would be panicking.
No.
Okay,
no,
good.
Not at all. No.
All right, well, yeah, I don't know why I dropped that right at the end. I thought it would be funny, but well, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I didn't push us into horrifically depressing territory, or more than usual, I suppose.
We all did. It was a group effort. We jumped in together.
Hey, solid improv vibes there, Criken. I appreciate that.
I'm classically trained after all, so.
Thank you all for watching. I guess we'll say goodbye to YouTube. You guys can cut your recordings. Goodbye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.